ಈಗ 2 ಎಪಿಸೋಡ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ದಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಒಂದು ಬಿಫ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ಎ ಐ ಸೆಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಈಗ Z5 ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರು. ಆ Z5 ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದೇ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಸಿನಿಮಾಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ, ಈ OTTsಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. OTTs ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಬೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೆರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಸೆಷನ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಅದ್ರ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನೊಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಟೇಕ್ ಅ ಲುಕ್.
Pleasure and privilege of introducing to you Siju Prabhakaran. Siju Prabhakaran is the cluster head for Z Entertainment, and he's the professional who has made Z a household name in South India. I mean, the kind of work that Siju has done in South is phenomenal. He's been in the industry, he's an industry veteran, he's been in the industry for more than 2 decades. And I've personally known him from the time, where he has grown from the domain of research to now to be the cluster head of various verticals of the Z bouquet. So, Siju, nice having you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure this is going to be a very engaging and an informative conversation that we're going to have. Getting to know what does Z5 stand for and how has Z5 evolved over a period of time.
Thank you to BIFF and the entire committee for giving us this opportunity to have this session for Z5. As you know, Z as a network, if you really look at the last 25-30 years of entertainment industry, it was always an upward of Vindhya network. It was known for its Hindi channels, Marathi, Bangla. But if you look at it from today, the TV network is something which is very formidable. We have 7 channels. We are a household name today. We have presence in all the southern markets. But Z5 is something which has really we are figuring it out because, as you know, all the OTT players are secondary film content was the first thing that every channel tried to do. But Z5 wanted a distinct identity, and so we went with originals and Tamil and Telugu were the first markets where we went with original content, because many of the learnings for Z5 has come from the Hindi market where Hindi originals were getting established, but what we found for the regional markets is the writing piece, which we want to really, because in OTT content is the real king, and how do we get writers who can kind of understand the long form storytelling is something which we were looking for. And it is still a quest, it is still a journey. We have gotten some great shows in the last 2 to 3 years. In Tamil, some of the finest OTT content, let it be a show called I Leave, another called Vilangu. We really didn't know that documentaries is a space where regional content would work. We had a series called Kusen Musami Veerappan, which really broke the mold of original documentaries being told from regional market. So these are some of the shows. In Telugu we have had some success with Vikatakavi, Oka Chinna Family Story. Now going forward, obviously it is something which we know that India is a very value-seeking market. You can give one of the biggest blockbuster called Shankranti Vastannaru. Also, people will buy it for the same price. But if you give a great small gem of a content, also people will buy it for the same value. So, how do you kind of get this unit economics of content for our viewers? Is the journey that we are in. So. That's currently the status of Z5.
Siju, now when you look at, when we talk of Netflix, as a brand identity, Netflix is known for it as a very premium brand. So if you have to say that Z5, I mean, of course you said rooted. So how would you describe the identity of Z5, especially in the South Indian context? What is the brand identity of Z5 in South India?
Z as a network, as a company, has been known for its languages. I think our ability to go to a market, understand the culture, understand the rootedness of the people and the stories which come from that land, it is that differentiates us from others, and I think that will be the USP of Z. While every brand will have some, you mentioned Netflix is a very premium global brand. Z is a very Indian brand which strives on regional content. Today, 60% of our OTT viewership and subscriptions come from language markets. That too, of that 60%, 80 to 90% comes from South regional markets. So we have a huge play in the southern markets. Now, as I mentioned, when we started with Telugu and Tamil, we are expanding into Kannada and Kerala markets in a big way. Kerala, as many of us already know, the film ecosystem itself is very strong and very OTT-ish in the content that that market makes. Now, how do we go there, and what is the real and the content making cost is relatively less. Kannada is a new field for us, and we are engaging with a lot of writers currently to make original web series. So that process is something which is on. So just to answer to your question, I think language will be our strength. An Indian OTT will be our strong identity. Rooted storytelling is something which we will be always focusing on. At the same time, the gaps that currently we would want to fill is how can we be technologically much more stronger, and that's something which we have our tech center here in Bangalore, and there is a huge setup with a lot of engineers working, and Z5 wants to be at the cutting edge technology to have a great UI UX experience for our viewers.
Sure. So now we have two different kinds of content, right? We have the originals, and then you have the films. Originals in the form of web series. We have two forms of content. One is the originals, which is the terminology is web series, and the other is films. So for originals, what kind of stories do you look for?
So whenever somebody pitches an original, what we have seen till now is usually it is a film idea which they just, because the platform is asking for a web series, they are willing to kind of elongate the subject. Otherwise, it is a 3-act thing that there is a start, middle, and an end. But fundamentally, where a web series differentiates itself is that it is an episodic storytelling. You have a little more time to etch out your characters with little more time. You can have a world building. Sometimes in film there is not enough time to build the world of the characters that you are telling. So we look for stories which, apart from what I gave as the initial filters, which is culturally rooted, something which is very unique in the log line itself. A uniqueness in the log line is something that we really look for when somebody is pitching. Then there has to be a world around which this story happens. we are open to any sort of genres. It's why I know that at a time all the OTT platforms were over-indexing on crime thrillers, but I think one of our finest content is a family drama called Aili. We have documentaries. We have recently one of our biggest successes is a series called Aindam Vedam, where tech meets Veda. So what if there was a fifth Veda, and what if an AI was in search of that fifth Veda? Is the log line of it. So all these ideas which have really clicked for us, there has been a very unique log line. There has to be a world building that is there, characters which kind of another sub layer which we look for is if the series becomes a success, is there a potential for a season 2 or a season 3? These are some of the things that we look for. But irrespective of that, I think beyond seasons, very passionate storyteller. We are not necessarily looking for big banner. Most of our successful shows have been made by first-time filmmakers, first-time producers. So that is again a place where we differentiate from maybe the other big platforms. We want passionate storytellers, and that's the responsibility.
So now, for originals, do you give the brief, or is it that any one of them can produce it themselves and then bring the finished product to you and see if you are willing to buy that?
So till now, finished because there are very few. We do not have an applause kind of a system here where the producers or the investors take the content and then pitch to platforms because everyone wants a platform to commit to the show before they enter into production. But maybe sometimes we will be willing to do that if the content is something which is very appealing. But currently that model is not there in the regional space, at least. I know for a fact that Applause does it, TVF does it in the Hindi markets. Most of it is we listen to a lot of ideas. Some ideas are possibly at an idea level it is great, but it is not fleshed out. So one thing for sure is the platform is very engaged with the creator. So because I know for a fact that creators sometimes do not like that engagement that a platform has, because it's a medium which we are all still learning and figuring it out, and failures are very expensive. So the platform does engage with the creator. If the idea is 50% or so, for it to be taken to 80-90%, we do multiple writing with the creators, because at a fundamental level we believe in the idea, but we want to guide the creative team to a space basis our understanding of the platform, our understanding of what is working, what is not working. Still, a show can go wrong. I'm not saying that just because we do all this, all the shows that we greenlight and produce will be successful. But at least our failure rates will be much lesser. So to answer to your question, I think everyone is. We look for that one-page concept note, a log line, and if the writer is clear in their mind as to what they want.
But let's assume that there is a past track record of the metrics that you have access to, which they don't have access to. So, but if they have to just come and tell a particular story which has a distinct identity and a distinct universe, but if there is a particular genre that the audiences resonate with largely in the South market, is there a preference? Because you already have the data, historical data with you. So when they come with that, so probably, crime thrillers work, or probably realistic short form storytelling works. So they will work around that and they'll come to you. So is there some kind of an idea that they can get on the kind of
Genre.
a overall genre which the streaming viewers like prefer watching?
So, what happens with any platform is they have an annual slate, which is the number of shows in a year which the platform wants to release. And you would have seen those slate announcements happening for platform. Now, in a slate announcement, you do not want to over-index on one type of content. So if you have crime thrillers, if you have fantasy, if you have comedy, you could have an original film, you could have a documentary. So if say in a particular year a crime thriller is already there for you on the slate, and immediately again say another such crime thriller is coming for a pitch, possibly it will not find an immediate green lighting. It might take some more time because for that particular year the slate is announced. At the same time, if the idea is very strong, I think the development work will start with the creator, and that process would continue. So it is a very slate dependent phenomena as to which kind of genres will be greenlit at a point in time.
Now coming to films, Siju, now do you normally like to acquire a finished film, or you would like to, in the beginning before they go for the shoot, if they come and narrate the log line to you, and if there is an interest level, can there be some kind of a interest level shown by your platform, if you know, or you would like to see the finished film, or I mean, what is your approach towards? Is it a finished product better, or getting some kind of an interest level in the film initially itself is it a better way to start the entire process?
So I think most of the platforms, when COVID hit us and there was a tremendous requirement for content, people were buying all sorts of content. Many films were bought direct to OTT also. As of now, Z does not buy that many direct to OTT. We prefer a theatrical release, and post that we have a windowing of first it goes on the OTT platform and subsequently onto the television. So what a theatrical does is, one, it is put through the test of the audience in theaters, and if it is getting a traction and it becomes a success, then there are many, and you know that in theaters beyond a week or two now, because the next set of films are lined up, and there is a large set of audience which still wants to watch the film, and therefore OTT becomes a great place for. So we prefer a post-theatrical thing. Answering your second question in terms of do we underwrite films at an idea level? Not much. While we have a division, Z Studio, which is into film production, and they take those bets. But for an OTT platform, because there is so much that can go right or wrong between a great idea to the final execution, despite some credible creators, we would rather watch the final content, because that's like really the finished product is there for you to see. And so currently platforms are very, very particular about this. So those kind of output deals, 5 film deals, those days are currently not there. So these are the two broad approaches. That one is we look at a post-theatrical films for the platform. Second, we want to watch the end product and then take those bets.
So you're saying the first test of filter is the theatrical success, but it's that there are many cases where some of the films that are made are not necessarily meant for a theatrical success, but could probably could do very well in OTT or in the television. So how do you take such calls? I mean, unmindful of the theatrical success, you would still take bets on the films.
So yeah, means, another thing that a theatrical success does is it is already marketed. So I do not, means as a platform, then your marketing cost is not much. But there are films which might not have had a theatrical success because it came with another good film and therefore it got lost out, or another big film. And we are very mindful of such good content and which might be a great gem of a film. And then we spend on the marketing of those films. We pick up those films and we really go all out and market it. And that we have had a lot of successes in the platform like that also, where it did not have a great theater run, but when it came to the platform, it became a big success.
Yeah, because I personally know instances when there are good films, probably the theatrical footfall was not there. Circumstances when it was released, there would have been a cyclone or a flood or some situation. But unfortunately, it doesn't see the light of the day because it doesn't get released in the platforms. There are so many films.
And we are in an era of content indigestion or content coma, where there is so much of content and we have finite time to watch that sort of a content. Now, obviously, the most marketed content discovery is becoming a bigger challenge in this sort of a world. So it is not about only making a content. In the theater business, it is releasing the film has a challenge. In the OTT world, how do you kind of discover the content or make it more discoverable to the audience is the challenge that OTT platforms have. So it is always on an average, we know 250 films is getting released in one language. So between all the 4 southern languages, 1,000 plus films are there. Platforms are releasing anywhere between 8 to 15 original content in at least all the key markets. So that is another piece of content. Now, we will see an explosion of lot of short form content which is going to come and hit our OTT platforms in the next 2 to 3 years. So definitely there will be a lot of content for the audience. In this, I think quality will stand out, but how do you kind of market these shows will also become extremely important.
Okay. Now, for instance, how will you support first-time filmmakers if there are first-time producers? Because normally what happens is, when you turn a blind eye towards established players, but is there a mechanism in which you kind of incubate and nurture fresh talent in the system?
So, as we speak across our 4 southern languages, we are working with first-time, not producers, but at least first-time writers. So we are setting up writers' room, which helps the first-time filmmakers because their idea is also not completely fleshed out. But fundamentally, if we like an idea, we will also support in the developmental phase, not in terms of just working for long hours with them, but also remunerating them in some capacity so that it is not just time spent on an idea, but at least at a development stage, there is some sort of a remuneration also, which is this is applicable to first-time producers also.
This is for the web series.
This is for the web series. So if we greenlight a show at a developmental stage, then we will have a developmental charge which will be paid to the producers. Beyond that, the writers' room will engage with the writers and the creators, and we will flesh it out to a stage where the show has a higher chances of success. So these are the two broad approaches that we take in terms of supporting.
Now, going back to this acquisition route, is there any other model which that you have by which the producers, if there is a revenue sharing mechanism, if you can enlighten them, that would be. Is there any other mechanism in which they come to you and say that, look, I don't want any money for this movie that we put on Z5, but on the impressions and on the award revenue that you generate, or on milestone basis, you can do a revenue sharing arrangement.
Currently, we do not have a pay-per-view model where I know for a fact that Amazon has that. But we are working on something because we do understand that there is a lot of films which possibly has not gotten a platform. Some of them are good content. Otherwise, I think television is the other model that is there. But there is nothing currently because pay-per-view is the very democratized model because it is a very open thing where you can really make out how much viewers have come and paid for that piece of content, and then the payout can happen. But as of now, Z5 doesn't have that system.
No, even the award stream of business, if there is a milestone-based kind of an approach, if there are so many impressions, can there be kind of a revenue sharing on the advertising revenue that you generate? Is that kind of because I was reading an article or a statement from the Netflix global head who she said that producers across the world are not interested in doing back-end deals. They're not looking at milestone-based kind of a fee structure. So if there is something like that could be initiated, if you are not confident about the movie, but if they are confident about the movie, can there be a win-win kind of a relationship established?
We could try it. Ad impressions is a completely different ball game because it is very programmatic. It is very algorithmic in its whole approach. So if there are producers who feel that model is something which they could experiment with, it is something that the platform can.
Because I think, especially in Karnataka, there are so many films that are unsold, right? When of course in theatrical release there is a challenge, but is there a solution that you can provide for these unsold movies? I'm sure there are at least around 500 or 600 movies, especially in the state of Karnataka, which has not seen the light of the day. Is there some kind of a win-win solution that can be thought through for them?
So immediately I can't think of anything, but
No, it's just off the cuff.
yeah. But see, what happens is we are always looking for content. I think because beyond OTT, Z has Z Kannada, which is leading channel. We have Z Picture, which is a movie channel. And
before that, there is I think, correct me if somebody here might know, there is a small regional player here in Karnataka which is doing that revenue sharing model for Kannada films. So I was thinking if there is some possibility, an approach where so that we ensure that the industry itself doesn't collapse.
No, definitely. Anything which makes revenue, which protects the interest of the producers.
Big Flix, I think, is the. Am I right? Big Flix is the platform here. Nothing you say. Right. And now coming to how do you see the challenge of YouTube and Instagram for OTT?
Yeah, it is I think when Netflix CEO mentioned that their biggest competitor is sleep because they are eating into people's sleep time. I think YouTube is definitely the first for free content, for user-generated content. There is a huge traction that is there for that as a platform. But I think when it comes to players like us, we are in the business of curating content and giving one sort of an experience to the audience, whether it is films, whether it is long form content, whether it is catch up TV. But at the same time, we are aware that attention spans are coming down for audience, and how do we then tell stories? Because we are fundamentally we are in the business of storytelling, and while we mastered the art of storytelling for TV, for OTT, how can we then tell 1 minute stories? So one big revolution which is going to which is already taking place in China and Korea are the micro dramas, which is 1 minute episodes, which could go up to 60 episodes. And this is again curated content where there are very fast-paced storytelling which happens. I think if platforms it is a $5 billion business already in the China market, and we see a huge potential for the Indian consumer, because Indian consumer is a value-seeking consumer, and Z is already working on such a thing. While there is already a YouTube for the user-generated content, and that is here to stay. But I think we will find our play through the curated content stories that we tell through micro dramas, through all the long form, short form films, and television, which still is a big part of our overall portfolio.
Because even Netflix recently just said their emphasis also would be on podcast. They are putting a lot of money behind that, and even in influencer marketing driven kind of content.
The influencer marketing is the other big piece. I think creator economy is just growing. We have more creators than viewers in some of the places, and since we have so many of our traditional TV business artists who are already there, they all have like millions of followers, and they are all attached to us as a channel of preference, and we're already building a base of creator economy business for us in that light also. There will be some of these characters from our OTT shows also, which will go on to become household names, and that will be another line of business that we will incubate.
So yesterday, the whole day we had a session on AI. So does AI help you in deciding which stories to invest in films and web series? Is AI helping you?
Helping the creators.
I think the human instinct and the human gut will always overpower AI. But I think AI is here to stay, and AI will play a very significant part in many aspects of the creative business. We are already seeing, let it be dubbing, let it be like a mood board presentation, let it be so many things which were, let it be the whole marketing of a piece of content. All these places AI has a very significant role to play. But I think as fundamentally as storytellers, we do not know, because I was listening to some Telugu director who was telling that he does put his scripts through an AI and just engage in a dialogue with AI to see the blind spots that he might not have seen in terms of whether it is logic or whether it is and so creators will definitely use the platform in the times to come, but instinct will have its own gut, and instinct of what you select will play. But having said that, companies will be any tool that will help optimize productivity or increase success ratio, companies will always be wanting to use those tools. So it is still early days for us, but next year by this time we might have adopted more of AI, is my sense.
So you did make a mention about mood boards. So I just wanted to ask you, when they have to come and make a pitch for creating web series, what is your expectation on the pitch deck? Should it be just a log line, or should be etched out in terms of character development, in terms of story development, story graph, and all of that? Or so what should be the first step for them to approach you?
So, definite expectations are a clear log line. I think that is, and very clear in the creator's mind as to what that log line is. A 3-page concept note, which explains what this whole thing is about. Beyond that, as a Bible, how much ever you give is okay, but these two are the minimum requirements which is there. Sometimes the primary characters are etched out, the other characters are not as well etched out. The world is something possibly not very clear in the creator's head. So those things which are things which we can create. We do not expect a complete pitch deck to be.
So
there.
just a 1-page log line and a log line and just 3 pages is what. So it doesn't have to capture anything else beyond that. And then you take and it can be. It's not necessary it has to be written in English, right? It can be sent in the respective languages.
In fact, we prefer it in the language of where it is being made, and the platform will find its way to conversion.
About films, so like you said that only after the film is made you take a decision. Now, what is the first step for that? Do they they just send you a trailer, or do you want to see a 20 minutes version of it, and then based on that, then they can see then you decide, okay, I'm interested, then they have to show you the entire film. How does the process take place?
So, frankly, film, the sheer supply is enormous, and any platform at any stage might require 5-10 films in a year, and so therefore the supply demand is very lopsided, and but when it comes to originals, we are co-creating it, and therefore the engagement levels are typically, if you're not, except for a big star film, we prefer to watch the entire film before taking a final call. Except for few films which are very big stars, we insist on watching the entire film, and then we take that final call.
Okay, so you see the entire film and then
see, people show it at sometimes business card, sometimes trailer, sometimes filmmakers are very confident of their film, and so they do not show, or they want to wait for the theatrical success to kind of be a great marker for them, and we appreciate that they want the test of the audience to be taken first, and once that success is there, then platforms are willing to pay the premium also for the success that it has found.
Now going back to the OTT green lighting, so what I wanted to ask you is that, I missed the question anyway. The other question I want to ask you is that about there must be a lot of first-time film producers and creators here. Anything that you would want to tell them as a word of encouragement?
Yeah, so if you want to approach Z5, I think the next, we have offices across all the 4 southern markets. There is an active, you're not speaking to somebody in Bombay. There is a team in each of these offices who is only catering to Z5 content. Within the Z5 content, there are various forms of content that we are currently engaging in, which is short series, which could be like a 22 minutes, 6 to 7 episodes. It could be a mega series, which could be, say, 45 minutes, 7 or 8 episodes. It could be micro dramas, which could be 1 minute into 60 episodes. It obviously we are in the television business, which is our staple diet. It could be films, which is 140 minutes to 150 minutes of content. So there are multiple forms of content that the platform is interested in. This is the best time for creators. I know many creators do struggle and suffer from wanting to reach the right kind of people in the platforms. But because we have these active people and officers in each of the regions, I think it should be much more easier. Definitely, the process of making this content is a very long drawn process, just like how it is for films, just like how it is for. So the passion that you have when you write that first piece of content and is something that we look for, because if that passion is something which goes for that 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, whatever that period is, I think the platform is there to support you and make great content. So.
The question I wanted to ask you earlier was about, so when you acquire, when they send the proposals, what is your response time? You will say yes or no. Can they expect in a week's time or in a month's time or in 2 months? Would you send them a reply, or if you don't reply, does it mean that it's not being read?
No, we're very particular in terms of responding. Yes or no. Sometimes it is if means no response is a no response. A yes response means that we are getting into developmental work, but sometimes we are not very clear in our own minds because there is something in that idea, but still possibly we are trying to figure that out. In some such things, there might be a subsequent meeting or multiple narrations which might be required. Apart from that, I think the yes or no is a very...
So immaterial or whatever happens, you do give your response.
That's it.
So anything that you want to tell the students, I mean, who are aspiring to build a career in OTT?
I think it's a generally media and entertainment is a wonderful place to build your career. The fact that you will be part of storytelling of some form or the other is a wonderful thing, and you will get paid for it also. So we are lucky to be in this sort of a industry where we tell stories and we entertain the audience. It is a very serious business. Entertainment is a very serious business. Long hours of work that goes into making any piece of content. It is a pain. Unlike some other industries, as you grow in this business, it also pays you well. It is not a medium which does not pay. And I invite many people, and we do go to colleges and institutions to attract young talent. There is a need for young talent to come and tell stories, not only in the OTT space but also in the television space. So I invite all the youngsters to this business.
Thanks, Aju. We'll now throw it open for the audience for questions.
ನೋಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್. ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ಗೆ, ಆಸ್ಪೈರಿಂಗ್ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ಗೆ, ಹೊಸಬ್ರು ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳೋದೊಂದು ಅಂದರೆ, ನೀವು ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಫೆಸ್ಟಿವಲ್ಸು ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ನ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ತುಂಬ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫೋಕಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇದರ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮಾಡೋದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಿಂದ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಜನ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಈಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಮೈ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್. ಈಗ ZEE5 ಇಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಎಪಿಸೋಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎಪಿಸೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಚಾವ್.